we're not even close to this. This is the online sphere. A lot of these people are LARPing or they half mean it, and they're right and useful in a lot of ways. It's like libertarians. Anarcho-capitalism would be a unbelievable civilizational disaster if that were ever implemented. But it doesn't mean I won't work with libertarians on anything. And it also doesn't mean that their ideological framework, as blinkered as it can be, doesn't give them insight sometime. I'd say the same thing about the left. I think the center left fell into Western man good, and it led us to horrible atrocities. And the left, which is
I will never understand the sentiment where people try to justify teaming up with people that hate them, right? Like Hassan doesn't even like these people. Hassan doesn't even like anybody who isn't a part of his exact beliefs unless he's trying to infiltrate whatever political movement that he wants to infiltrate, no? Like does like you're saying that you're open to teaming up with Hassan, but if he wants to team up with you, he's just gonna fucking snag your fucking movement later on, right?
hypercritical of the West, doesn't even like America. This
What
epistemology gave them insights that the mainstream
what these lefties do is that they'll pretend to be on your side, okay? Like they're like the dark side of the force, you know? They'll pretend to be on your side, and when the time is right, they'll strike, all right? And fucking take over whatever movement you have. All of their rhetoric and ideology will become part of yours, okay? And then you won't win any more elections, all right? But yeah.
didn't have. So
I don't know if you're aware,
Fantastic background noise for Pokemon Moon based.
but lately I have been trying to
Enjoy
be
the
more
game.
precise with my language. So oftentimes
Hey,
when I
Liquid
talk
Shots,
about the
thank
people
you.
that I have a problem with, I would sort of
Yeah, exactly. They're not even pretending to be on our side. I would even say that the only person who's insidious, I would say, is probably Hassan, no? Because Hassan's doing it on purpose, right? Like, I feel like the person who is, like, deliberately planning out infiltrations and stuff like that into the liberal sphere is Hassan. Like, 100% it's Hassan. He deliberately, on purposely, and maliciously lies that he is a social democrat, right? Right? But everybody else is so blatant. Like everyone that he aligns with is so blatant. How do they let Hassan get away with this when like every single one of Hassan's connections are like the most authoritarian, fascisty types, right? It's absolutely mind-boggling. But you know,
conflate
what can I say?
5 different
Life is
terms.
strange.
So sometimes
Okay?
I would say lefty or socialist or tanky or Marxist-Leninist or Marxist or leftist. And I've recently tried to avoid that kind of generalization because I don't think it's helpful by identifying what I call the
But the motive? Are you farming another infinite? No, 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 no. No. Infinites, listen, I don't think infinites are that worth farming until you're endgame, right? And I'm just trying to speedrun all the way to that point. Yeah, I don't think it's worth farming until it's endgame. I'm true Vault Hunter mode right now. Being handsome lets you get away with crazy shit, it seems. Mm-hmm. And so before I would say that Hassan only cares about his ego and only about viewership, right? But I think I think that it's also important to kind of see who he ties in and what he ties into his ego, right? My apologies. No, you're fine, dude. Don't worry about it. But like that part also matters, right? Part of his ego is that he genuinely feels like he is bringing about a political ideology in the best way possible. That's a part of his ego. That's not separate from his ego. That is like, oh yeah, he cares about more than his ego. It's part of his ego. He wants to be the vanguard party, right? He wants to be the person that fucking revolutionizes the country, right? So I think you have to argue that it's a part of his ego, right? This is what he's aiming for. And if his ego is red fascism, then his ego is red fascism, right? So yeah, I think he genuinely does believe in the commie Stalinist type shit, right? But it's in line with what he actually is, right? Anyway.
black pill left. And these are the people that I'm focused on in terms of directly confronting and challenging. So if to build off your point, so if someone
You know, you're one of the few streamers that when you stream goes from 2x to normal. It's actually sounds good. What do you mean? What? Huh? What do you mean? You ever play Stardew Valley? No. It couldn't fixate my attention for too much, okay? We're just vibing today, all right?
Shows up in my chat and they're a self-described democratic socialists, or maybe they're self-described like Marxists, and they're 19, 20 years old. They're learning about these systems in their undergrad studies, and they're taking a sort of academic interest in leftist philosophy. But this same person says they basically understand that the blue no matter who thing is a legitimate strategy right now that is somewhat necessary, or if they demonstrate that they're willing to.
I'll admit right now it grinds my gears when people play every video at 2x. I can't focus on the video when I play the video in 2x. I don't know, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't, because I have to actually listen to the words, right? Like, I can't just play the video in the background and listen to the white noise. I have to listen to the actual words, right? So, yeah, fuck, yeah.
Go out and actually like canvas for candidates, or if they say like obviously I'm going to choose like the blue candidate, then I'm not going to like chase that person out of the party. But if the person that shows up in my chat is doing black pill lefty stuff, and I've sort of talked about certain behaviors that I think we can characterize these people by, but they all amount to just basically doing everything they can to spread a narrative about the Democratic Party that they're basically just as evil as they're like 99% Hitler to GOP is 100% Hitler. They don't actually want to do anything for their voters. Like that kind of rhetoric, I think, depresses.
I actually listen better at 2x for some reason. Okay, so there's this thing called Vivance. I'm kidding. Destiny streams got me used to it. Okay.
People, and I think it obviously distorts the truth. It's a lot of these are
they're limits. Like if people are legitimately calling for like rather than like some edgy joke like death squads or something or concentration camps or gulag. I mean, obviously that's not acceptable. I also think one issue where there should be a line in the sand is if people are indulging claims that like the Ukrainians have brought their invasion on themselves and what have you. That should be a red line. But just because somebody has a theoretical hard left view, I think if they don't have any of these other problems, it seems a bit dogmatic and
no
to just say no, yeah,
no. But I wasn't talking about ideological dogma. I was talking about a particular set of behavior that that goes beyond politics.
I couldn't stand Critical until I put his vids on 2x. You know what he sounds like normally? Hey guys, Moist Critical here. Pee pee poo poo. I'm Charlie. Okay, see you guys later. On 2x, like, hey, Moist Critical here. Fuck it, pee pee poo poo. Okay, see you guys. I'm Charlie. Bye. All right, listen, it's the same. All right.
So it's not about like, did a democratic socialist, did a self-described progressive say the thing, did a Marxist say the thing? It doesn't really matter. But if you're telling your audience, or if you're spending your time online pushing a narrative that the Democrats are 99% Hitler, then I don't think that that's a constructive partner in a coalition. Like we're basically working against each other. I don't believe these things about the Democratic Party for all its flaws. I think the rhetoric and the hyperbole has gotten so extreme. I'll give you an example. When I was watching Cenk on Jubilee, and when I was watching Kyle Kalinske a couple days ago in a video.
I'm actually really glad that Hutch is the one that is trying to wage this war right now. Right? That Hutch right now is so hyper-focused on this anti-lefty narrative. And he's like being bombarded from all sides, right? I'm just glad. I'm just happy that he's doing this. Charlie has the best pee-pee poo-poo takes. He has he just covers normie stuff. Like he just goes to like the top of trending Twitter and then he covers whatever's at the top of trending Twitter. He probably asks like ChatGPT what's the internet hot topic right now. And then literally that's it, right? What about 98.5% Hitler? I will vote the gnome destroyer over the gnome obliterator, okay? As president, I will destroy 50% of all gnomes. As the gnome obliterator, I vow to destroy 100% of all gnomes. As a principled centrist, I refuse to vote for the lesser of two evils. And the gnome is like, oh god, oh fuck, oh god. Oh. Okay.
Talking about Democrats' low polling numbers, both of them said these things. Both of them said that the Democrats, they don't actually want to give their voters anything. It's just a smokescreen. They just serve as a release valve. They're more or less controlled opposition for the Republican Party.
Noise gate.
That to me is worth confronting pretty aggressively right now, because I don't think that narrative, number one, it's not true. Number two,
the fuck?
I think it helps lead to worse outcomes. Like that kind of rhetoric, I think in part enabled Trump to win the first and the second time.
I think there's a place for this kind of hyperbole. Obviously, I don't believe that the Democrat, Joe Biden or others are Hitler, right? That's not a reasonable analogy. But I'm not going to object to political hyperbole when Biden funded, the destruction of 4 to 5% of the people of Gaza in 22 months, right? Higher.
Why didn't people push that no voting is like voting for all parties? Oh, you're voting for all evils, right? Yeah, that's actually kind of true, isn't it? Fuck. Yeah, true. What the fuck?
Percentage of a war zone population killed in 21st century. So if you don't want to have this kind of heated hyperbole thrown at you, don't support genocide. In terms of politicians generally, I think the best way.
Bro, I feel like people have to fight on this point. Dude, I just don't think this point is like avoidable. No, I feel like you have to fight on the point of whether or not it's genocide, because fuck. Because once you label something as genocide, you can just literally dismiss everything, right? It's such a cancerous point. It's so insane to me how, like, oh, once you define something as genocide, like literally you can make any argument. It's like it's like the laziest. It's the laziest version of forming any kind of absolute, like, fucking statement ever. It's insane. Mandatory voting would actually be base as fuck. Not voting is saying I am willing to be bent over by anyone. True. Get pregnant, get pregnant, get pregnant. Okay, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? If you don't vote, it's like both Trump and Genocide Joe running a train on you, okay? You're lying down, okay? Butt facing the ceiling, all right? You're ready, you're lubed up, you're oiled in baby oil, okay? Trump comes in, all right? Morbidly obese, okay? Giant flabby tummy covering his penis, all right? He comes up to you, fucking flops his belly on top of your butt because he's so fat, and he starts fucking... I'm gonna come! Oh! That's what happens when you don't vote, okay? You're welcome.
To see them is that they're mostly amoral. They're not particularly
Hope
ideological. There are exceptions. There's some good people in politics, but generally they're kind of unscrupulous actors, and you need to move public opinion, pressure them, and then they will change, right? I mean, you're going to mention Gaza. I guarantee you that the 2028 primary is going to have people with very different views in Israel, Palestine, and Gaza than has been the case in Democratic politics before. It doesn't mean, by the way, that they're deeply morally concerned. It's just they understand which way the wind's blowing. And another issues too, like if the Democrats become more radical and intolerant, if you will, of anti-single payer position on healthcare, the party will change there too, because ultimately they, despite other institutional pressures, elite groupthink, donations, and so on, votes matter.
Meanwhile, Biden's in the back in the cuck chair eating an ice cream. No, it'll be Hunter Biden, okay? Oh, he's getting head. Oh my god. Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm sorry. Okay, just stop.
If the Democratic base is really passionate about an issue, and 90% of them say, for example, single payer healthcare, the problem.
Not Hunter Biden is based.
The politicians were changed. They're generally amoral,
Okay, let me try to demonstrate my thinking in a different kind of way. I'm just going to ask you like a series of questions, and then we can go from there.
I feel like the genocide argument is really pretty easy to disprove. No, maybe I've missed it, but does Israel have a plan to kill Palestinians in Israel proper / West Bank? True. Just give them the kill switch, okay? You know what I'm talking about, okay? The rhetorical gas chamber, all right? Put them in, all right? Deploy that Zyklon B argumentative style, okay? Oh! Why are there Palestinians living in Israel? How are they being genocided?
Do you agree that the 2026 midterms could be enormously consequential in terms of checking Trump and reining in his destructive actions?
Yeah, of course. If the Democrats win, that'll be helpful.
Okay. Do you agree that the extreme kind of rhetoric and hyperbole that I'm referring to...
Do you see Netanyahu the other day? If there wasn't really a genocide, it would only take a weekend. True. Okay. You just have to deploy some of that leftovers from World War II, okay? Oh!
Has the potential, and in fact, maybe even likely, depresses turnout for the Democratic Party?
I mean, I don't think I think the people who I don't know if the people who believe that the Democrats are like running for office now or Hitler-like really represent that much of the public. I don't think they represent most leftists, for example. And some of this, I think, also is rhetoric rather than conviction, right? And if it's just rhetoric, if you're and it can be political hyperbole where you're disgusted with, again, the fact, if you look at this footage that was just released by Sky News, like Gaza's like completely razed, 4 to 5% of the population killed, just nothing like this in the 21st century. If you're disgusted by that, you might engage in political hyperbole and call, these people Hitler who are insufficiently critical of Israel. Doesn't mean you're going to depress vote or that people really believe, that their Democratic candidate's the same as Hitler. Where I think it is helpful is getting the Democrats to reorient on an issue where there's a lot of passion, right? People care about the Gaza issue. I don't know what percentage of the public do, but there are people who are very passionate about this, and it's not 2%. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 8. I don't know, but there's enough people there that it could actually be a politically mobilizing issue, a moralizing issue, like a moral cause to stop this genocide. And
By the way, just every single time whenever somebody brings up like, oh yeah, this is an important issue that people talk about, and then they bring up like some like fucking retarded poll, just keep in mind that poll numbers is not equivalent to actual policy nor actual action, okay? It's not equivalent. At the speed in which we are approaching fascism right now, it is not fast enough. So let's just say, even if you solve this supposed genocide in Gaza, what now? Okay, Trump is now a fascist dictator, all right? Israel has stopped its bombings in Gaza. Okay, Trump is now dictator. He's now like fucking Hitler too. Okay, he tells Netanyahu, all right, I will give you the go signal. We will become the new Axis powers, okay? What then? What are you gonna do then? Like, what the fuck? Like, am I the only one questioning this? Like, okay, so you stop Netanyahu bombing Gaza, fine. All right, what happens afterwards? Like, what? Anyway.
Prevent the stateless people from enduring.
Guy watches hundreds of hours of snuff footage to solve Israel/Palestine conflict. This is why I always say that lefties who watch like fucking baby kill stuff is like it's porn. They're watching child porn. That's what they're doing. Okay, stop. They're not like literally jacking themselves off to it, but they're clearly aroused in some kind of way. It's the only explanation to explain it. Okay, every single time they see that shit, they're like, "Oh fuck me, I'm coming!" To dead children. Okay, stopping support from the U.S. to Israel won't end the war. Israel would just go it alone and be even more unhinged because there will be no one with leverage to ring the man. True.
Oppression at our hands, Israel's hands, any longer. So
well, I feel like
I just don't agree that the left is unhelpful. I think overall they're politically helpful. If they were leading the party, I would agree with you. That would be a problem. But I think there should be more of a space for them in it. It's like salt. If you have some salt, the soup tastes better, right?
I'm sorry, somebody did a tangent. It's really loud. Give me just a moment.
No problem.
I don't mean to be rude.
Why make it so long?
Okay, I think we've arrived at a pretty big disconnect here. Let me try to make the point in a different way, and then we can get on to the other questions. So, do you agree with the idea that the genocide Joe killer Kamala rhetoric, in part, led to Trump winning? In some small part. I'm not saying it was the only reason, but honestly, it could be. But I'm not necessarily.
No. I think it's theoretically possible from some of the polling. I think it's plausible but unproven that the Gaza issue cost them the election. It could be false, but there's enough polling because it was a close election, right? People said it was a blowout. It was not.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So it sounds like we agree on that we don't know if it was necessarily outcome determinative, but in some part, it did contribute to less people voting for Kamala. Therefore, in terms of arithmetic, like helping Donald Trump. And so.
Poll that shows this is the plurality of people who didn't, a small plurality, 25, 30 or something like that, who didn't vote for Harris but had voted for Biden. This was their issue. So this did matter. So
it did impact the outcome in some way. So then the next question I would ask you is, like, for example, okay, so like, do you agree that the situation in Gaza?
Hutch should spend the rest of the year talking to independents and far lefties to help Trump get term DOS, like Dem DOS. I mean, well, it feels like he's already doing that, and I think that's fine. I think the pace that he's doing, he clearly cares about this issue a lot to be talking about it even now, right? Like, his stream is officially the anti-lefty stream, right? I think that Destiny is generally anti-lefty, but I think that Hutch is like he's going through his own little lefty arc right now, you know? He's like debating every single possible person on every front about like this issue, and he's making a lot of noise and drama out of it, which is good, you know? I think that's a good thing, right?
Gaza right now has gotten worse as Donald Trump has been president?
Relative to 2024, yeah. The very beginning, the very early bombing was the worst part of the war. But relative to 2024, yeah, it's gotten worse.
And you said that you agree
The
that
first month of bombing was the bloodiest month of bombing since the Korean War.
right. I understand all that.
October 2023.
Oh
I understand all that, but
my
like,
god.
The big thing that I've made this before. The big thing where Biden made a big difference was by the spring, he basically said you can no longer obstruct aid. Like, fuck, stop doing this. And they appear to have stopped. And if you look at starvation deaths, they were starting to go up in February 2024, March, and then by the summer they had almost been eliminated.
Yeah, there was a situation. There was a situation with UNRWA and like that hurt the aid situation, but it did resolve within a couple of months. I mean, that's a big deal, right? But like, anyways, so if we agree on these things, then I feel like you have to take my position. I don't know how you could avoid taking my position. I think you're getting stuck feeling sympathetic for people that have a strong emotional reaction to what's happening in Gaza, and I think to a certain extent, like, that's fair. I've never claimed that these people are wrong to.
I think even though Hutch is just too nice of a person, okay? I personally feel as though I would have lost my mind by now, okay? Maybe that's just me, okay? I probably would have lost my mind by now, but I think Hutch is genuinely just too good of a person. And he doesn't want to be mean. I get it, okay? I get it. He doesn't want to be too mean. I understand, okay?
Care about what's happening in Gaza. My question has always been one of tactics and strategy and political calculation. And
that's just who he is.
I'll ask you another question. I mean, I'm sure you agree, right? But like, most of the presidential elections that have happened in the modern era, certainly the last 4, have been decently close elections, right?
Obama was the least close, but a huge blowout.
Obama in 2012, Trump in 2016, Biden in 2020, Trump in 2024. These were decently close elections, right? So like, my point is that the margins actually do matter. And I'm trying to get you to get to the point where it like, let's just say, I mean, I think that single issue voting is really, really harmful and bad. But if you're going to be a single issue voter on Gaza, then I don't understand how you could be okay with stuff like killer Kamala rhetoric in 2024, or think that I should try to actively court these people into the coalition when I know they're going to do the same thing for some other issue 4 years from now. So if we've identified that these people have actually hurt Democrats electorally and potentially in an outcome determinative way in 2024, then I think you understand the point that I'm and other people are making right now, which is that these are not constructive members of our coalition. In fact, you could probably get more value from being seen pushing them away than by welcoming them in. I don't think we should be understanding of that rhetoric.
We should. So the problem here is so I agree with you. It would have been better if she won. I'm confident of that, honestly. Like, I'm extremely confident that that's the case. If you compare,
well, better be. Holy shit!
What happened with Biden is at the beginning was just what he allowed is just insane, and then he did to some extent crack down, especially on the food, right? Yeah, Harris would not have been as bad as Trump has been. She wouldn't have allowed them to abolish the UN system and replace it with like this weird white trash Christian Zionist fake aid group where they're getting massacred every day. She wouldn't have allowed 2.5 months of blocking all food and medicine from coming in. Yeah, those are differences.
She wouldn't be talking about permanently occupying.
Wait, and I'm sorry. So you right now you are defending the rhetoric that enables all this destruction to continue happening. Who do you think is more likely to rein in Netanyahu, Trump or Harris? You can't just say, oh, we want to do this rhetoric right now. I'm sorry, are you like a single issue voter on Israel versus Palestine? And even if you are a single issue voter, shouldn't you be advocating for Kamala Harris? I hate how these like fucking West-hating institutions and countries are infiltrating our fucking government and infiltrating like our fucking Democratic Party narrative, right? By causing discord, right? In order to sabotage our election chances against Donald Trump. And they won.
in Gaza, like that obviously would not have
Yeah,
been.
there wouldn't have been like the Trump Gaza thing. So I agree with you. That's part of the reason I voted for her after considering not voting for her over this issue is because I was convinced like it's not rational to think she wouldn't be better than Trump. The problem though is that you're putting so I agree with you. These votes may have been, we don't know, but it's possible they were outcome determinative.
Mm-hmm.
But you're putting the onus on the individual voter, whereas Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, I put far more responsibility on Biden for supporting what he described. He said in multiple interviews, including with Lawrence O'Donnell, he said at least the beginning of the war, the bombing was, quote, indiscriminate and carpet bombing. That's what he called it. He's called this on multiple occasions. So he knew in October and November 2023 that there was basically World War II style indiscriminate bombing, terror bombing going on. And in fact, when he actually mentioned this to Lawrence O'Donnell, when he told Netanyahu this is wrong, Netanyahu said, well, look at what you did in Hiroshima. And so Netanyahu didn't even deny. He just said, yeah, you did it too. Mm-hmm. So it's okay. It's okay when we do it. So the fact that after that, Biden continues to fund them and it won't even publicly say these things, what he knew until after he leaves the presidency, right? I mean, I put way more moral responsibility there than on some, 25-year-old leftist or Arab American or
real George
Muslim
Soros,
or just a concerned citizen who doesn't have an ethnic connection, doesn't have hardcore politics. There are people like that who thought this was wrong, right?
I'm just asking for people to strike a balance. So like the politicians, they're going to do what they do, and we can do things to try to influence them. We can demonstrate. We can try to have a direct line with people, but the politicians are going to do what they do, and then the voters are going to make their decision every 4 years. When we're talking about presidents, every 4 years, and I understand what you're saying. Like, obviously, if Biden's Gaza policy was better, then I think he would have stood a better chance to maybe even, withstand that horrible debate performance. Or, if Kamala had broke from Biden sufficiently on Gaza, then maybe she would have done better. Maybe she would have even won the election, right? But the voters are an essential part of this democracy that we live in, and we all have agency. And I guess I'm getting a little frustrated because you're acknowledging that their behavior was destructive. Their rhetoric was destructive. I'm saying destructive in the sense that it helped lead to Trump. And yet you don't seem to have any sort of space to criticize them or to push them in a different direction, to suggest different kind of rhetoric, to maybe highlight how this rhetoric led to a worse outcome with Trump. Like, you just don't want to touch that. It's like these small beans voters.
Here's why I'm sympathetic to them. Here's why. Now, I think that I'll make two distinctions. So there's two groups of people. One are people who voted for Jill Stein or Donald Trump or whatever. I know people like this. They made a mistake. That's wrong. Or told people to do that. That was wrong. For Gaza too. Not just for other issues, but it was a bad decision for Gaza. So I agree with that. In terms of people who used harsh polemical rhetoric for Biden and Harris, I don't blame them because at the time, there's two issues. First, at the time they said these things, many of these people were trying to, through their polemical way, affect a change in policy, right? They weren't necessarily anticipating, okay, 8 months from now, the war will still be going on and the policy will still be to support Israel despite its atrocities. They were trying to effectuate a change in policy. Here's another thing. The second thing is, who knows, these people probably did make a difference, like a positive difference. So the big thing that Biden did, which I think we both agree on, is pressure to stop blocking or obstructing the passage of food. Right? That not only in terms of starvation deaths, but because a lot of people die from malnutrition who don't physically starve to death just because their bodies are weaker and they're less able to fight off disease that they otherwise could have. That policy probably saved thousands, if not tens of thousands of lives in 2024. He didn't
need to be pressured to do that, though.
He did. The NSM 20, the government's own report, the Biden administration's own report.
Where does Hutch get his anxiety pins? Okay, I wonder how many people actually take, I don't know, anxiety medication. It just feels like everyone is using them. Like, what the fuck? Does anybody go to the doctor these days, or what's going on? Hello?
Blinken's. I'm not talking about the version that people who resigned wanted, but the one that was actually released by Blinken. It said Israel was not fully cooperating with attempts to provide food and medicine to the people of Gaza, and now it is. It's so basically said the first few months of the war, they were not cooperating, right?
No, but because
he allowed this to go on for months.
Just as well as I do.
Yes.
Because you read the same book that I read, that the Biden administration, from the very outset of the war, was pressing Israel on allowing aid into the country. Like they were the reason.
I don't think I need to like it by now, like for myself, but I do. I mean, is it because people also feel cool when they use it? Like, that has to be a reason, right? Like, one of the reasons. Oh, look, it's Dan in the game. But like, that has to be a reason where people just feel cool when they use it, right? Yeah. Dude.
Very quickly.
The Biden administration was literally the reason why aid started going into the country.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say he didn't need to.
But there's two phases.
I feel, but we're getting sidetracked here though, because I feel like you're sidestepping my point. Like you are acknowledging that kind of rhetoric and behavior was destructive and helped enable a second Trump term, and you're not connecting the dot that we should distance.
Acknowledging that. I don't know what would have happened.
No. Yeah, no, you did. Hold on, hang on. You did acknowledge that. You said it might. You said it.
That's factually incorrect. Biden, after the initial invasion, after 10/7, spoke against them going too far, and allegedly is the one that pushed them to turn power and water back on. Really? That kind of makes sense, I guess. I'll take your word for it, okay? Because I love Biden. I'll defend him to the death, okay?
You said it, no, but hold on, wait. You said that it might have been outcome determinative, but it definitely had an impact. It led to less people voting for. If you're on the left and you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, in terms of arithmetic, that's the same thing as giving a vote to Donald Trump.
Well, I agree that they should have voted for her. I made that point.
No, but you need to agree that it helped elect Trump for a second time.
It's possible someone who is listening to our conversation right now, if not for the fact that we're so engaging, wouldn't listen to the conversation. He's listening to it in the car and he hits a.
Guys, remember, vote for Kamala Harris. Except that Kamala Harris is an enabler of genocide. What? What are these people smoking? What are they smoking?
Kid and kills a kid, right? So it's that there wouldn't be any moral responsibility for either of us for that, even if, in some sense, our conversation, our being so compelling to this driver, causes the accident.
I don't find this to be analogous. I don't find that to be analogous, dude. That's
they don't know. You don't know everything that's going to happen when you're using polemical rhetoric against Biden and Harris in summer. You don't know. You're wanting to change policy. I think it's very different than a very discrete action, a very intentional action where I'm voting for Trump or for Stein, or I'm telling people not to vote for Harris. That's different, and I'm much more critical of that than like just harsh polemical rhetoric on Harris for this policy. I just don't think it's the consequences of that could be anticipated or foreseen in the way you think it could be.
Well, I think they were obviously trying to, in their minds, punish Kamala for the sins of Biden. I mean, first of all, it's crazy that she was blamed for his foreign policy. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, she made the mistake of not distancing herself from Biden out of some misguided sense of loyalty, I think. But the fact that she inherited his baggage, like vice presidents don't determine that foreign policy. Any grown-up adult understood this, but they still blamed her. I mean,
she is a grown woman.
Oh, whoa, hold on. Your assumption, whoa, legendary. Your assumption is that lefties are grown adults. Okay, they're not. They're babies.
You know, she's more intelligent, more privileged, she has
renewed water supply to parts of South Gaza. Agree with Biden. Israel's energy minister said on Sunday that a decision to renew water supplies to parts of southern Gaza was agreed on between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Joe Biden. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so he's just dishonest.
More access to power. Like I just don't have.
Yeah,
I agree with you that, like in a legal perspective, she's not somebody who could be like prosecuted for war crimes. So Biden obviously could. I mean, he knew it was indiscriminate bombing, and he's sentencing the armament.